James Comey is agreeing to testify on Capitol Hill this month. The controversial former FBI director will face questions from the Republican-controlled Senate Judiciary Committee on September 30th. They threatened to subpoena him along with former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe and former agent Peter Strzok about the origins of what eventually became the Mueller investigation. Meanwhile, Comey's successor, current FBI Director Chris Wray, took questions from the Democratic-controlled House Homeland Security Committee. He was pressed on Russia's attempts to influence the 2020 election, as they did in 2016.
But we certainly have seen very active efforts by the Russians to influence our election in 2020 through what I would call more the malign foreign influence side of things. Social media, use of proxies, state media, online journals, et cetera, an effort to both sow divisiveness and discord. And I think the intelligence community has assessed this publicly, primarily to denigrate Vice President Biden and what the Russians see as kind of an anti-Russian establishment.
Li Zhou is a politics and policy reporter for Vox and joins me now. Li, thanks very much for being with us. What did we learn about attempts to influence the 2020 election?
What we learned is that a lot of these attempts look like what happened in 2016, in that Russia is trying to use platforms like social media as well as state-run media in order to basically sow discord and push content that could potentially undermine Joe Biden's campaign.
Well, FBI Director Wray was also repeatedly asked about anti-fascist protesters known as Antifa. What did he tell representatives about the threat they posed?
He was focused on talking about how he sees them as a movement and that the FBI is closely tracking incidents of potential violence that smaller groups may be planning, but he did not agree with the way that Trump characterized Antifa in the past when he's tried to say he wants to designate them as a terrorist group.
Well, I also want to get your thoughts on James Comey. The former FBI director has become one of the more polarizing figures in Washington. In a statement announcing the hearing, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said, quote, "The day of reckoning is upon us." What should we expect from this hearing?
This hearing is something Republicans have been angling for some time. They've long tried to cast doubt on the origins of the investigation into Russian interference and the 2016 election and suggested that it was politically motivated or biased, and that Comey is a central figure in perpetuating that. And so that is the message they want to continue to push, particularly ahead of this election. And it's something that they want to press Comey about more in this hearing.
On another topic, you have been reporting on the deadlocked coronavirus relief negotiations. It's been 4 months, as you know, since House Democrats passed their $3.4 billion proposal back in May. Where do things stand, and is there any hope that help is actually coming?
Unfortunately, things have been at the same stalemate for many months now. The latest action we've seen this week is that the Problem Solvers Caucus, which is a group that consists of both Democrats and Republicans, released what they described as a compromise proposal in an effort to pressure leadership on both sides to get back to negotiations. We actually saw support from Trump for this potential proposal, but Democrats don't think it goes far enough, and Republicans think there's too much spending involved. And so we're basically at the same stalemate that we've been at for a while. And that leaves a lot of questions about exactly when more stimulus is going to be approved.
Such a critical question for so many Americans. Vox reporter Li Zhou, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.